All right, this is Ryan, Real Talk with Ryan from RG Alliance, and we want to thank everyone for being on. And we have a very special guest today, and I'd like to introduce Renee VanHeel. She's the founder and president of Pay It Forward Processing. They are a innovative organization that identifies opportunities for their clients, matches them with products, has a vision for how they conduct their business. They live what they mean and mean what they say. And we're super excited to have Renee on the call and on this meeting. Hopefully our objective here is to help all of you identify some ways that you can utilize merchant processing, utilizing just structure and products to help improve your business in this time, but also talk through and think through, how do I implement vision and a purpose for why we exist? And Renee has a great story around that and how she's done it in her business. So with that, Renee, thank you for being here. And I'd love to start with you doing an introduction about yourself and talk to us about you and your business and why really you exist.
Well, thanks. And I appreciate you having me speak. And, my goal is always to see any which way we can help other business owners. I'm a huge advocate. I was raised as an entrepreneur. My first job was filling orders for my dad. When I was 10, I got 50 cents an hour. I was so excited. So I got I just got that bug at an early age. And I remember at 14, I said, I will always be a business owner. So but, along with that, you got to learn how to do it. Just briefly, when I was 18, my dad passed away and left me the family business. Well, 3 days later, we go to the office and the IRS is there with chains on the door because he owed back taxes that none of us knew. So I definitely went to college, the School of Hard Knocks. So that's how I learned business. It was the biggest lesson. We turned the company around in 3 years to be a $2 million company. So we were women's accessories. So we did wholesale jewelry for like Nordstrom's and all the little mom and pop shops. So always working with the small business, just loved it. And we had over 600 designers that worked with us. So we had provided a lot of income for cottage industry on the East Coast, where a lot of these moms made jewelry out of their house. It was really cool. So I found how important it was for one small business to impact so many people. So that was a huge lesson I learned, and I was so thankful. So fast forward to 22 years ago when we started Pay It Forward Processing. Our oldest son, we lived in Minnesota, was born with severe arthritis. So we traveled around to find out where he would be healthier and the weather would help. And San Diego, thank God he picked San Diego as helping him. But we had no jobs. We picked up and moved, and we had no jobs whatsoever. And San Diego isn't that cheap. And I had some friends that were being taken advantage of in credit card processing, and I got really, really mad. And one of the big things was she was brand new, and they have what they call a minimum usage fee, and it's $85, and it was one of the big banks. And she had 80, she goes, oh, I'll take care of that, no problem. And she thought it was just processing dollars of $85. Well, so she hit $83, and I'm helping her with all this. And we thought, okay, she'll be charged $83 and $2. And no, they charged her $83 and $85. And then she found out they put her in a lease for a credit card machine, and it was $150 a month for 4 years. And the machine cost $250. So I got so mad, and I just said, I went home and I told my husband, this is the business I'm gonna do. And he looked at me like I was crazy. And it was during a recession. So even Visa, MasterCard, when we had to get licensed and bonded with them, they go, you sure you wanna do this time? And I go, hey, I have brought businesses from being in debt to making them work. And that's how it started. And we have taken all the negative. I interviewed over 100 small businesses and said, what is your dislike on credit card processing? Well, that's what I found out. It's in the top 3 sleaziest industries out there. It is so bad. Nobody trusts any credit card processors. So my goal was to change that. And that's why we started Pay It Forward Processing. That was 22 years ago. So we've made a lot of strides. And my best part is 5 years ago, we started our Give Back program, which is every swipe benefits charity. So for every customer we have nationwide, we take a portion of every transaction and donate it back to charity. So that's kind of how we got started. And it has evolved tremendously from there. And I'm sure we'll go into it a little more detail here too, Ryan.
Well, thank you so much. I'm here with Renee VanHeel from Pay It Forward Processing. And those of you that have joined the call, thank you for being on. If you have questions, feel free to use the chat box. I'll see the questions and I'll incorporate them in. We'll also open it up for questions. If anyone has any direct questions, we'll have space in there for some of that, because we'd love to answer what your thoughts are and what you might be learning. Renee has vast experience in this credit card space. And it's interesting, Renee, when you talk about that story and through multiple business climates, you know, where we're ramping up and then we're ramping down and you have pivots and you have recessions. I have really a 2-part question for you, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this and really your experience. How has the processing changed and the products that are available in the 22 years? Because what you're looking at now have to be so much different and so much more usable and so much more competitive, how they can transform the way your business functions in the last 22 years. And then how do you let people know about those kinds of products so that they're even aware that they exist?
So very good questions. And I laugh about it because it used to be very simple. And technology has actually complicated the heck out of it. And then second, the government got involved. So now there's a lot of regulations, where before, when I started 22 years ago, it was one simple page application. Now it's 42 pages. So, but
just to be a processor.
Oh no, for the customers. The customers.
Oh, for the customers. Wow.
Okay. And but it's only 2 pages that we have to fill out for the customer, and we take care of it, and we just dummy it down for everybody, because they have really complicated it, and they complicate it so they can hide fees within everything. So we are very transparent of all our fees and our statements too. So it has changed from where you still, one simple machine. But what is nice is the new programs, the softwares, and the different online programs have made it so the offices are more efficient. So an example, we have a very large pool company that they take care of over 4,000 pools. They had 3 gals in there every week doing the recurring charges. And we went in there with a program where they can put it in one time, and it's a secured program. And that's the other thing you have to be careful of. There's a lot of programs out there, but if they don't match the card standards, you can lose a lot of money. So you have to make sure that you can be PCI compliant with the programs that you're using. But we were able to cut down 2 of the gals. They now work on their social media instead of doing the recur. So they didn't fire these gals, but they were able to shift them to do different things that are helping the company more. So we like to go in, and we will do an analysis on their current statements, but we like to come in and ask questions on how they're processing to see if we can help them be more efficient also. And the majority of credit card processing companies right now, they go in and they say, I can save you money. Well, but that's not what it's all about. 98% we do save money, but I would say at least 50% we make them more efficient. And that's what I think businesses need to start thinking. Is there something you have that can make me more efficient? Or I just got a very large client, they could not get PCI compliant, and their credit card processor wouldn't help them. And if you don't know what PCI compliancy is, you have to run a scan on your system, and it has to pass high standards that Visa and MasterCard put out. If you don't pass and you have a breach, it's going to cost you a minimum of $80,000, minimum. And this company could not get PCI compliant. Well, we had them transferred, doing their processing, and PCI compliant all within 3 days. And they could not for over a year get PCI compliant. So we have a whole department in our company that's what we do. We assist with it. We can't do it for them legally, but we can walk them through the steps because it gets pretty complicated.
So one question that's come up is, how does somebody know if their processor or they are PCI compliant? Who should they be asking, and where's that information live?
On their statements, it'll say non-PCI on it, and they will be charged anywhere from $60 up to $120 a month for being non-PCI. And then with the risk of having a breach. And it's so funny because so many times we'll get statements and they will not even have a clue that they're non-PCI, because companies want you to be non-PCI because they make that money that they charge. And we have a whole department in there that you will get an email the month that you're going to be PCI, and then we track it and we follow up with it. So, but you have to look at your statement, and most people don't even take it out of the envelope or open it or know how to log on.
Yeah.
So,
very interesting. You made a comment that was really interesting and resonated with me, because in our business, we look to bring financial intelligence and reporting and create efficiencies in someone's back office and how they actually function. And that aligns what you're doing really well with the way we talk about and see business. And you mentioned a client who, in this process of evaluating the merchant processing, actually realigned the way their business functions. A lot of business owners don't even know what to ask or what to look and what's possible. How do you approach those clients, and how do you arm them with, here's the kind of things that you can do organizationally by just restructuring your infrastructure around processing?
So it's a good question, because there's a lot of different answers. Our whole business model is 100% referral based, 100%. And that, again, I was told 22 years ago, you're crazy, it's never going to work. You need to have your telemarketing desk set up. You need to be doing, all the SEO stuff. I said, no, because we're not based on price. We will go in and save them money, but we focus more on the customer service side. And so when I teach referral partners how to introduce us, we just say, have you looked at your processes for running credit cards lately? And they just say, I highly recommend you talk to Renee at Pay It Forward. Just give them 10 minutes and they might be able to help you. And I always use the might, because I don't want it to ever feel like it's a big sales thing. But every business, especially now, they need to look at every process and every penny that they're spending if they're going to make up for the money that they lost the last 2 months. And I know we have some clients that actually have done better, but overall, our processing volume is down about 20%, which is actually really, really good. We're very happy with that, because we have some of our competitors that are down 80 to 90%. So, but I think because we don't ever, number one, when people start with us, they don't leave us because we don't put them in a contract, but we do what's best for them. We truly do. And that's what you get. And as business people, let me answer this a little bit different way, Ryan, because I think all of us businesses need to stick together to help everybody and say, you know what, have you looked at this? Have you looked at that? Have you looked at, your payroll where you think you might be able to get down? Have you looked at your bookkeeping? I think that we need to start encouraging every single business to look at those different aspects. We really do. That's the only way we're going to be able to help them.
Yeah, I agree completely. Thank you so much. In today's environment, really in any environment, you and I talked earlier today before we started, and you talked about this pivoting economy, right? And the changes in the way things are flowing. And if you're not adjusting your business, you're not adjusting for multiple revenue streams or diversity in your income, that you're going to get left behind. So I'd love to hear a little more about the story about how you help businesses look at that and how you've done that for yourself and thinking about what the possibilities are in their business so that they're stronger through these kinds of times. And then when they come out the other side, they're positioned to take advantage of what opportunities they can create for clients.
Well, let me give you a couple examples. So when this COVID started, first thing we did was offer free mobile swipers. Okay, so for delivery and curbside, immediately we did. So we have a liquor store up in Montana, and they just have been getting hit. They had construction through the summer, this and that. And we sat down with them, and it's one of Cade's accounts. And we just said, let's do a little masterminding. Let's do 20 minutes. We ended up getting them set up on e-commerce. It wasn't a website because we didn't have time for that, but through one of our point of sale machines, within 24 hours, we got every single SKU of wine on there and got their mobile swipers set up. They started doing delivery. Their sales tripled in the first week, and they've been growing ever since. And they never thought to do delivery. Never, ever. We have a very large catering company that we sat down again, and I brought in a couple other of our salespeople that are working with other catering, and we sat down and said, what can we do different? Well, they are now making meals for people at home. They made meals for the kids that now had to be home from school. They are going to be doing a food truck. They bought a food truck. So, and so we were able to help them set up the site where they can order it weekly. Then they can, take out lettuce, or they can take out this and that. And again, one of our point of sale companies, they're able to do all of that. But if we didn't have everybody working together to think about what can we do different, 2 years ago, we branched out into the hemp and CBD processing, and we do it right. There's only 3 of us that are doing it legally right. There's a lot of scams out there and a lot of overseas companies that are trying to get a part of it. But again, I researched it for 2 years and 3 years. And so we knew also in the processing that we had to diversify in that field too. So it's just getting people to sit down and start talking. That's how we said, what would be a dream way for you to run your business? And so it's really interesting when you give people the freedom and the space to talk and think, and we make sure that the meetings are after hours so they literally can sit and think. And a lot of times wine or beer or cocktails are involved.
Thank you. I'm here with Renee VanHeel from Pay It Forward Processing. Does anyone have any questions specifically for Renee, just around whether it's product questions or that masterminding idea is really great when you're thinking about how do you think about what to do? I mean, people get stuck in some ways in a place that they don't even know how to advance because they don't know where to start thinking. But does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask directly?
I'm seeing them muted.
I have a question.
Yep.
Hi, Renee. How are you? I was wondering how you originally came up with the idea to have a nonprofit, community-driven component for your business, and I would like to know how easy or hard it was to do that.
It was, okay, so we have a corporation and a foundation that is an actual 501c3, okay? It is not an easy thing to put a 501c3 together. So I have actually helped a lot of people, and I will coach people on what to stay away from, because you can go down a rabbit hole. If you answer one question wrong, they'll shut you down. So I always put it out there if anybody needs help with that. But once that's up, it's really, really nice because you can do separate DBAs underneath it. So you don't, like, our foundation is actually Go Coast Foundation, I Have a Dream. That's the name of our corporation. But then we put Every Swipe Benefits Charity under there. And then I have, I was talking to Ryan earlier, we have a group called Fired Up Sisters where we help fire survivors. So you can put DBAs under there. So again, it's being creative. And the majority of money for the Every Swipe Benefits charity comes from the donations from my husband and I giving that portion. And with, the processing volume down, Angela, we are now having to think outside the box too. So we have just partnered with a health and wellness company where all proceeds are going to be going back to the foundation. So again, it's putting the nonprofit together, but it's figuring out, what do you want it to do? Do you want an umbrella where you can do different things within it? Or do you want it just say for autism? But even if you're doing it just for autism, you can do different DBAs. So one could be for schooling for autism. The one we have, Bianca, they do iPads for kids, which is just, oh my gosh, just so near and dear to my heart. But it's not the easiest thing to do, but once it's done, it is never questioned. So it's worth it. I did, my foundation is probably 12 years old. So, but then we didn't start the Every Swipe Benefits charity till 5 years ago. So
That's great.
Am I answering your question, Angela? Because you were kind of garbled, so I don't know if I heard the direct.
I think what I was trying to say is, like, I understand setting up a 501c3 is difficult, but it's that social entrepreneurship relationship between the for-profit and the nonprofit, and how do you set that up correctly, and what's the strategy that you put into it? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Okay, so and every strategy is different. And our strategy came from our Fired Up Sisters group. Out of the 1,100 homes, 98% were underinsured. So I would go into businesses like on Miramar Road, lighting places, and say, if you close down at night, have an open house, I will. And this was during a recession. So I said, I will invite my 600 Fired Up Sisters to shop in your place if you give 10% of all sales back to the Fired Up Sisters. And so we did that for 3 years, and we raised over $3 million worth of money, goods, and services. So we had Tempur-Pedic mattress. It donated 3 semi-truckloads of mattresses. Home Goods did 21 pallets a month to our warehouse. So we had a 5,600 square foot warehouse. So that's where the idea of Every Swipe Benefits charity came from. And to be really honest, Angela, this is recording, I shouldn't say it, but if I wouldn't have lost my home in the wildfire and literally lost everything, I don't think Every Swipe Benefits charity would have been around. We would have figured out some other structure, don't know what, but I joke that I'm not that nice. So I had to lose everything to be able to give away. And that's where everybody's structure is different. Some nonprofits, they rely on money from donations. So in the structure, so we even do Amazon Smiles. So we have an account with Amazon Smiles, and I recommend every nonprofit should have it. And last year, I think we earned around $5,000 from everybody that used our link on Amazon Smiles. So the structure is always evolving, but the main one for us is David and I donating that money back. So, and marrying the two, once we started doing that, Angela, it's the best thing we ever did. It makes doing our business worthwhile, changed our whole attitude on it. So I would never, ever start a company anymore without a give back portion to it.
Thank you, Renee. Again, I'm with Renee VanHeel, founder and president of Pay It Forward Processing. I want to highlight that piece that you just mentioned. And we have a question out from the group. And this is really where we're going to go next. And in today's environment, so often everyone's going to be looking for something more, right? Yes, you have a job. Yes, you do the work. Yes, you deliver a product. And hopefully you do good work for your clients. And that's all fine. And a lot of people do good work. But the people are going to want to connect in a more meaningful way and get a sense of community and a sense that the work I'm doing today is benefiting the better of our environment and our community we live in and the community we serve. And so I'm really curious, the story that you can tell around how has that changed the approach that your business takes and the impact it has on the employees that work in your business and the communities that you serve on behalf of what the clients bring to the table when they're processing. They know a piece of that is going back to serve the community. How has that impacted your outlook, and how has that impacted the outlook of the people that interact with you and your business?
It's a night and day difference. It really is. You know, it's not just credit card processing and all it is. So we have 12 nonprofits that we give to, and last year we hit like 385,000. So we were pretty excited. I want to be giving $1 million a year away. So I don't want to sound like 385,000 isn't an accomplishment, but it's not even close to where I want to be. But it totally changes how the type of salespeople we have. Our office staff gets super excited when we give checks away. The whole morale changed when we started having the giving portion of it. We feel we have a purpose. And all that it is we give money away and it's just a revenue stream. And we do it through credit card processing, where before we had to go out and sell credit card processing. Now we get to say we are supporting these nonprofits. And that's what we get so excited about. So we had an event for one of our nonprofits in Northern California. And all the businesses that supported them, that chose them, got together. And Wow. They were all so excited to be part of that. It was amazing. It was amazing. And to see these businesses, and the other thing we do, we connect a lot of the businesses that support the same nonprofit, so they get to use each other more. And then the numbers go up more. So they all get excited about that. And they actually have a little placard in their store that says, "Thank you for swiping, you just benefited Friendship Club." You know, so they get their customers involved too. So, wow. And yeah, so it really has changed my attitude. I love it now, where it's hard in a sleazy industry to keep morale up, but if you're supporting nonprofits, it's really fun. It's a lot of fun.
How do you select the nonprofits that you support? I mean, I would expect that those that know that's out there start clawing at you to say, pay me, give me money. And then it becomes this sale to you to be part of what you're doing. And I know that you've got to have some criteria you choose because their cause has to mean something to you, but also mean something to your staff and to your clients. So talk us through that process for identifying that criteria and selection.
Well, first of all, our motto is we give a hand up, not a handout. So, and I'll explain that as we go through, but the nonprofit has to be nominated. We actually have a fundraising component for them as they refer businesses. We guarantee that portion of every swipe will go back to them, but they have to be vetted. And Andy is the queen of vetting. 80 cents on the dollar has to go for the cause or they will not make the cut, will not. And we have a very stringent vetting process. Sometimes it takes 3-4 months and they are audited on an annual basis. So they cannot be top heavy. They have to, and that to me, I highly recommend that, because one bad nonprofit, if you're donating to, if they get caught in a scandal or something, that will just screw your whole business over, because your reputation is attached to their reputation. So, you know, because we looked at it, it's like, well, should we all let them pick whichever one? And we got stung on a local one and it was not good. And that's when we decided, nope, they're all going to go through the vetting process. We only do 12 a year, and we have different stages of involvement. We have one in Dallas, Texas, that they give probably on an average 5 to 6 referrals a month. And we closed 5 out of those 6. And last year they received, their check was well over 10,000.
Wow.
But they are in the group where they're an active fundraising nonprofit. And then we have some that give one a month, and we're okay with that. But, you know, as it grows, it can be substantial money for them. So each of our businesses pick out of our list, but then the nonprofit can also nominate businesses that will end up giving to them. So it's a twofold.
Ah, okay. So one of the things that I was trained on a long time ago in negotiating, and this is important for this discussion, not about negotiating in general, but about how you actually deploy this message. If you do something for people and nobody knows you do it, you still want to do right, but somehow people have to know you exist and know you're doing that. How do you advance that message that we care about the causes we represent? And it's bigger than just a marketing deploy to get people to do business with us, but that you actually do good and celebrate that. So how do you celebrate that with the staff so they feel like we've contributed? And then how do you market that in a way that goes back to this is really about the cause and not just I'm marketing this to promote my business?
So I'm going to ask the question back to you. We are constantly working on it. You have any suggestions?
Well, we have a marketing professional on the phone on the call today.
I know. And this is the thing, you know, our whole company is organically grown. And it's partnering. And this is the thing that I love to bring business to other businesses. I'm huge on connecting. That to me is just so avid. And Angela, we're probably at a place where we need to have another conversation, because we grow and we catch up, and then, you know, and there has to be, the timing has to be right. But this is where, again, connecting. And Angela, you and I haven't talked in probably over a year. I bet it's actually been a year and a half. And that's sad to me, because I love your business philosophy. And so it's, to me also, Ryan, it goes back to having a system of referral partners that you really enjoy and that you feel don't always take from you, but you work together nicely. I think that is vital. And we just have been putting a system together for that, so we can stay connected and to send out a little, you know, newsletter or an email. How are you doing? And and one thing we have gotten really good at through this COVID-19 is using social media to highlight our businesses. And we've been doing interviews on different businesses, and, you know, we don't have enough time to do everybody, but it's putting the referral partners together where we can systematically talk to each other and stay connected. So super good question, Ryan, because I don't have an answer to that one.
So why don't we ask this of the group that's on? What have you seen, or does anyone have any ideas about what you've seen other businesses do that might be helpful to the group? Seen other places that you actually work with or buy from who has a vision or a purpose, mission-based business where that is a forefront idea to why they exist that's worked. And so I'd love to get feedback from the whole group about what would your thoughts be about how to really market or let people know that that's why you're here to exist and how you're doing. So anyone have any comments or ideas around that?
I think like one of the only authentic ways to do that is kind of what Renee was saying about the word of mouth type marketing. Because if you market it in material and people are seeing that and it's being pushed outward, it can come off as, like you were saying, as the purpose, you know. So I think maybe having it like on the page, if people want to come learn more about it, they're able to. But it is something you have to be careful and cautious of.
So a more organic approach in your mind is more impactful because it tells the true spirit of why someone's doing it. Excellent.
Well, and Connor, I appreciate that, because I don't ever want it to come off as salesy, because that is not, it will lose the authenticity of what it really means. So I appreciate that. We do have pictures of the checks on our website. So if people go to our website, they can see it. So Thanks,
Do you
Connor.
involve the staff when you deliver those checks or make an event out of it so they can participate?
Yes. So one of our, it's recording again, but one of my favorite, I don't know if you guys have heard of Shelter to Soldier. They're out of Oceanside. They take dogs from shelters and train them for vets with PTSD. And so we have had the whole staff, when it is local, the whole staff comes to the check presenting. And we usually do it, we've done it at an event at the RB Winery. We did one at Corporate Alliance. We did one, and we always try to use one of our clients, Koi Zen Winery. They're another one of our clients. So, you know, my favorite though is the RB Winery. If you guys haven't been, please. They got hit by a few things this year that they had to shut down. So please go visit them. They have restaurants and winery and all kinds of cute shops. But we actually had a suggestion from Debbie, one of our account officers who's been with us 18 years. What she wants to do is more, would like to do is like for Shelter to Soldier, it's $15,000 to sponsor a dog. So it'd be really cool to say, okay, we're at, you know, $9,000 towards that goal and keep that going on social media too. And then the other thing that Debbie was suggesting is like, one of her nonprofits is Gently Hugged, and they do bags of baby clothes for people that can't afford it, and say, hey, we donated this many bags of clothing to children, to newborns. So monetizing it more, but I haven't been able to really sit down and figure out how we can monetize each of the nonprofits for what they're looking for.
Can I jump in real quick?
Of course.
Hi. So I love what you're doing, Renee. I love, love, love the way you're involved with nonprofits, which is one of the reasons I like to do business with you.
Thank you.
And it's genuine and it's sincere and it's authentic. And that means a lot to me personally. What I've seen with some nonprofits is that if they can communicate the investment leverage. So yes, we gave this nonprofit $10,000, but we also volunteered or we also connected them with in-kind services. And therefore we were able to turn that $10,000 donation into $20,000 or $30,000 because we were able to leverage our relationships within the community and with service providers and different vendors to get them more of what they need to be successful. I find that kind of language, both for the person donating, but also for the nonprofit, when they're communicating to their donors to say, I took $1 and I turned it into $2 or I turned it into $3, that makes people more likely to appreciate the value of what you're contributing and also understand that the nonprofit's not just taking the money to pay their own bills, but they're making the most of that donation to expand and extend it to accomplish more.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. I think that's a terrific idea.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I am. And the thing is, and this is where Angela too, sometimes, I mean, that is not my expertise. So sometimes I just don't know how to implement it. And it just means, again, you guys, whenever you're doing something new in your company, you got to clear the brain space. And that's the toughest part when you are working so hard just to keep it going through this COVID stuff. It's like, okay, where do I have the brain space to think outside the box? You know, and that's, Angela, you put that front and center because that is something that is really important to us this year. It was actually on our first quarter goals is to have that done. But with all our wonderful things going on, it really got pushed to the back. So thank you for bringing it forefront again, because I think it's important.
Any other comments or ideas on things that you've seen work or questions around that mission or purpose-based business?
You know, Ryan, I'm just gonna pitch in a little bit because this is something we started doing this year. If a business doesn't have money to give, it's okay. Take the time and volunteer. Angela, and you said it, because we started everybody started tracking their volunteer hours. And I'll tell you what's wrong with my staff. They don't want to put on the website. And that irritates the heck out of me because I said, you guys, you're putting this time in. I said, but we just don't want it. They want to be in the background. So that again is another question I'd love to throw out. When you have a staff that doesn't want to be recognized for their volunteer work, like we have one gal through this whole COVID thing has been picking up food for the food shelf every single day. And I'm like, really? And I said, can we document that? Oh, no, I don't want anybody to know I'm doing it. And it's like, but why? You know, they don't want credit. So how do you handle staff like that? Because that's our whole staff.
Great question for the panel. Does anyone have any comments or ideas?
Well, I think it's kind of like secret shopper. You just catch them in the act of doing good and, you know, grab a photo or grab a video and snake it and say, here's our unsung hero of the week or of the month, and, you know, do a shout out in social media and, you know, basically say, too bad, you're awesome and I want to tell people about it.
I'm about at that point, Angela. Yeah, and we have one of our gals made over 400 masks. And
wow.
And we did catch her in the act, so we did highlight her. So, but
very nice.
Yeah.
So I'm here again with Renee VanHeel from the founder and president of Pay It Forward Processing. And this has been a fantastic discussion, and hearing your story, how your business has changed and how you've adapted and brought relevant, useful, organizational changing products to the table, and then done it with a purpose as far as delivering value to the community. It's exciting, and it gets me thinking about all the different things that I could do. I'd love to get a last take from you on, you know, we all hear this and you leave with, I want to go do, and you've got this big long list, right? And if you try to tackle the whole list and overwhelm change all at one time, you generally don't do as much as you thought, or you actually make it worse. So as you come up with these ideas and you think through them and you get this idea of, I want to really make a difference and I want to make a change, I want to support every nonprofit. Well, you can't, right? How do you advise somebody around taking those small, incremental, useful steps that actually get you to sustain change?
First of all, I think people need to find out where their passion is, because you'll change it. You can, one thing I've learned about myself, and my husband has worked with me 15 years, thank goodness. He's the brains behind it, but we are totally opposite personalities. So it's interesting because when we started the Every Swipe Benefits charity, he's an ex-motocross rider. He was a professional motocross. So one of our nonprofits is Road to Recovery that supports them. And you know what I said to him when he brought that to me? I go, why would we ever want to support them? Because I didn't have that passion. And another nonprofit that I brought on board was American Institute of Cancer Research, because I'm a 2-time cancer survivor, and they do so much in educating people. So you got to sit down and figure out where your passions are. You know, we have a strength test. You know, some people do DISC. I have a really dummied down strength test. It's 40 questions. I'm happy to send it to anybody and go through it with you, but it shows where your strengths are and where you would thrive at. And we are firm believers in our company. If you are if you're not doing well in the position you're in, it's because it's not in your DNA. We're not doing you any favors. So you can't change your business model unless you sit down and say, well, what am I good at? Then you can mastermind on it, but you have to find out. You can't say, well, you know, I was told I needed to do this all my life, or I was told I needed to do this, you know, the coulda, shouldas, and you have to find within you what you're passionate about. And it's really fun to see all our different salespeople bring these different nonprofits to the board. And it's like, why this one? And, you know, so there's many reasons, but find your passion first. And I don't care if it makes you, you know, it takes you to go sit in your car because you can't sit at the beach. So, but journal about it. And like I say, you can email me. I'm happy to send you the strength test. I can go over it with you, but find where your passion lies, and then get a group of other business people that you trust, and sit and talk about, well, I do enjoy doing this. What are your recommendations? Well, you can't do it alone. And I think that's where COVID has been so tough on me, because I love my Spire, where I can get together and talk to people. And I love to banter and figure things out. I take from every single person I meet. And my dad taught me that really young. You learn one thing from every single person you meet. It's either how you want to be or how you don't want to be. And I have taken that my whole life. But yeah, I think that would probably be it, Ryan. Find where you're, and you know, I think it's so overused. Find your passion. No, find where your DNA, where God made you, and how your brain works, because there's 4 personalities. You're all going to fall into one. There's different things to do. I cannot do what my husband does. He does all the contracts, all the books, everything. I have anxiety just thinking about it. And if he had to go do a network, he doesn't do networking groups. So he has anxiety when he has to go do a networking group. So, but it's a good match, because we have different brains and we think differently. And that's the only way this company has become what it is today.
Wow. Well, Renee, I know on behalf of everyone on the call, your story's inspiring, your vision's inspiring. It's amazing how someone could take what is thought of as a commodity in a product that anyone can do and is all the same, and transform that into a business process changing, money saving, mission creating product. It's so rare to have someone that's able to deliver that kind of value to their clients and make that kind of impact in the community. So I know on behalf of everyone here, we thank you for what you're doing. We so appreciate your enthusiasm and the nuggets of wisdom you share with all of us. So thank you, Renee, so much. We're pleased to have had you, and we can't wait to see what Pay It Forward processing does in the future. So thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. You guys just stay safe, and God bless you guys. Have fun in your business. That's the other thing. Have to have fun or it's not worth doing. So God bless you guys.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Renee.
you so
We really
much.
appreciate it. All right. Have a good one. Thank you all for being on. We really appreciate everybody. If you have any questions, we have a couple more minutes. I stopped the recording.